Hello. So now we're going to make a brown bread. But there are a few twists in this brown bread. So this brown bread has got sorghum and teff in it. Did you know teff was the smallest seed in the world? No, tiny little seed. Teff comes in golden, brown, and black. I'm using brown. It's endemic to Ethiopia, where they make something called injera. Now, okay, so we have this all mixed up, but not mixed up properly. So we're actually going to put this through the mixer, and I'm using a dough hook. We'll be back. Tapioca. We do not have our tapioca. We need some tapioca. We'll be back. Okay, so we have tapioca. So, wheat flour, buckwheat flour, and I think sorghum flour can do it. Are the only two flours that are gluten-free that I know of that can actually stand alone. In that I explain that I say I don't need to add a tapioca for chew or rice flour as a structural thing. Those flours actually stand true to themselves, and that's sort of important to know, because in this brown loaf I have sorghum and I have teff flour, both which can stand alone. Now if you used buckwheat flour, you could replace the teff with buckwheat flour. If you used golden sorghum, you could use the teff in here. Buckwheat, teff and sorghum actually make the flour brown. But if I used sorghum, white sorghum, and no teff, I'd still get a white loaf of bread. So I'm now going to take this out, and I want to show you what I mean. Okay, out you come. Now you see, as I've pulled it out, I have a hole, and the rest of the dough is here. Now, if I don't close that hole somehow, I'm going to land up with a hole in my bread on there. Now, again, a sticky dough, because I haven't got psyllium husk in it. But I don't have to have psyllium husk in it. Psyllium husk is sort of kind of new friend on the block. It was used for a medicinal purposes before, as a fiber replacement, for those that don't have fiber. But you must be very careful. It likes water. So it absorbs a lot of water to your bread and in your gut. It just drags every liquid it can find. By excluding it from here, I have a much softer dough, and to me, a better bread. But if you want a bread that is more a stiffer dough, then just add some psyllium husk into it. And I think this is why a lot of people are actually relying on the xanthan gum and psyllium husk combination, because there's no actual structure in the bread. And it's important to be able to build structures, because without the structures, I actually don't have a bread. And I'm then relying on, fancy word, hydrocolloids. How's that? Basically binders, which is your xanthan gum, your psyllium husk, your goya gum, to a certain extent arrowroot. Arrowroot was developed for the ice cream guys, and it wandered over into here on there. And if you have a dough that is really heavily reliant on the hydrocolloids, the binders, you land up with a plastic dough. It is not bread, it's more like plastic, looks like bread. Sort of, I tried it and it works, but because I have sorghum in here and I have teff in here, all it's going to do is push this over the edge to plastic. So I'm allowing the different flours to actually do their job in the hydrate, take the moisture out as they want to. Did you know that xanthan gum was a barrier harder as well? So it allows all the flowers to absorb their water. It says, right, you can have yours, but now you actually have to stop. So it actually controls where the water needs to be in a loaf of bread. And yes, it is a binder as well, but it is a water controller. It says, sorry, won't have any more water. The water needs to stay here. I put the water here, the water needs to stay here, which is sort of, I think, a cool job. Okay, so we're going to pull you out. I'm going to park you over there, and we're going to, you see, sticky. Very, very sticky on here. But if I open it, we're going to work. You see, yeah, there's my hole. Do I have another one here? And there it goes down there. There it goes. There it is. Look. Now you see where your holes get hidden. So that's why I always, taking it out and dumping it on the work surface the same way it was. I've actually turned it upside down. So the bottom is the top and the top is the bottom. Because you get this hole. And this hole is there's nothing to stick the dough together. So you'll end up with an air pocket. And that's where you get tunnels that say, hello, here we go. So by turning it upside down, let's do something with these hands. I need to wash them again. And then I can see, and then I flatten it. But this needs to rest. This needs to actually do its job of all the flours and the binders and everything else need to do their job. So when you let it do its job, I'm going to wash my hands. In theory, it can take anything up to 20 minutes to do it. But we'll see. I'm just going to wash my hands. Why do you look at the loaf of bread with a hole in it? What are you? And why are you there? Nobody invited you in. What are you? I have no idea. You look as if you come from the Teff. Piece of the Teff that wasn't moved properly. Yeah, you can sieve all your flours and you can remove all the dirt that comes in them. But I use the seeds. I'm not going to wash my seeds and then fry my seeds. Or you know what you can do, which adds nutritional value to your bread. You can actually soak your seeds. So you could soak the millet seed, you could soak the sorghum, and you could soak the teff in water. Drain it out and keep it damp and allow it to sprout. Then you take those and you allow them to dry. You now have sprouted flour, which adds more nutritional value into it. And if you've got the time and if you're sprouting stuff all the time, then it's a really cool thing to add to your repertoire of bread. I've never done it, couldn't be bothered. The case of I have what I have and it works for me. And because it was done commercially, I was just not going to actually add a complicated step. Well, not a complicated, another step into it. All our products were always handmade. So it's a case of the bread would be mixed in the mixer, we come out, we shape it and we pan it and all the rest of it. So to add yet another step to a commercial setup is just not advisable on it. So you could try that. And if you don't have a desktop mill, put it through your coffee grinder, through your spice grinder. In which pestle and mortar works as well. I mean, bakers use their arms all the time. So that's something you could add onto it. Maybe I'll think about doing it, but it's not on my program right now, but it might be fun to do. Show you how to do that. So you can see this is becoming, it doesn't look it, but it actually is becoming less sticky as I'm chatting to you. So we're just going to leave this to rest for a while. We're then going to bring the tapioca flour in and I'm going to fold it flat. I'm going to roll it into a sausage, and this one we're actually going to bake in a aluminum foil container. Actually, I have a clean bread pan. We'll load it into a bread pan. Now this bread pan is 26 years old, so it's one of my first bread pans that I actually use. And I used to have those really cool colored ones that were lined inside with whatever. You know, they actually caused so much trouble in my baking that I actually had this white lining actually coming off on my breads eventually. So I have got aluminum ones. They conduct heat really, really well. And yes, they are 26 years old. 25 years old? Where were we in 2006? In November they will be 26 years old. But the secret is to actually season your pans. So basically wash them clean, really, really clean. Then you spray them with oil. Or just wipe them up, oil all over it. So you cover the whole pan, put it in the oven and let it bake. Maybe 200 for about 10 minutes. Pull it out, cool it and wash it again. So what has happened now is the oil that you covered it in actually has gone into it and it has seasoned it. So you don't actually have to pan cook or oil your pans that often, but you do need to keep them clean. What's my worst thing? Always start food, half wash them, and then you come and you think, this is not clean, this is dirty. But I'm now the staff, so practice what you preach. I'm going to wash my hands and we'll come back with this one. Give me 5 seconds. Actually, I want to use this one. Okay, so now dough, you're in the way. So we need to move dough, so I can show you that from an overhead point of view. Okay, so can you just hop over there for the time being? Thank you. And you can do your own fashion. And now I have dirty hands again. The baker has always got dirty hands. Okay, so this pan is not being cleaned properly, so I'm going to line it. It gives me an opportunity to teach you something. So if I put my pan sort of in the middle of this, and I literally cut it just on the inside of each, so it's on, not on the outside, it's on the bottom. Oh, stop, it's inside. Okay, something like that. I'm going to take this and put it straight to here, and it does, fold to its spaces. So, cool, eh? You can do that with cakes as well. So it really just uses a bit of information. So we're going to take a little bit of this. Hey, that's too much. You hop over there. Maybe that's why I was kicked out of cooking class at school. We used to call it home economics. I got kicked out because I was a messy worker. They didn't like that idea. But anyway, so we are going to use, and we are going to form it to a log. And you are not hydrated yet. But I need you to be hydrated, because you really are messing with my timeline here. See, there was a pup, there was a pop, there's another hole. Okay, so you are going to need some extra love and care. And to give you that extra love and care, I'm actually going to use a bit more tapioca than what I need. Okay, this ain't going to work so well. So what do we do when all else fails? We dump it in here, carefully. So I have it dumped in here, not so carefully. And I'm now just going to squish it so that it's level. There is never actual baking failure as such. It can always be fixed to something. So this is a sticky dough. It doesn't want to hold its shape, which is perfectly fine as far as I'm concerned. So all I'm doing is I'm forcing it down to the bread shape, and I have sticky hands. And I'm going to allow it to rise. And then we'll probably be back in about 3 hours time with this amount of yeast, but we shall time it and we shall see. So another thing about these hands, it's never a good idea to actually just wash them down the drain. So if you take a piece of, because this gets stuck in your drain, then you have sourdough which is going down your drain. So it's best to actually take a piece of paper, wipe them off, and then wash your hands. So there's minimal gunk going down your drain, because it's expensive to actually get it back out. So I'm going to wipe my hands, I'm going to wash this, and I'll see you in 3 hours time, or however long it takes for the bread to rise, and then we'll show you how we know when it's risen. Yes, I know it's a lot of paper, but you know what? It's a messy job to get it all off. Rather than have too much paper than not enough paper. Okay. Thanks.